Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Life is a risk. From birth until God calls us home. To live in a supposed safety bubble is not living. We all need to tighten our cinches and go back to living. God bless America, and that's exactly what Kate Smith is going to sing about right now on this Thursday, April 16th. And I want a patriot to call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, everybody. Good morning. And a good morning to you, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course Wheels over at our main studio running the board, and we say good morning and thank you to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations, all 7 are open and serving you with safe, clean environment and the best in tires and services to your automobile. Stop in and see them today, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And of course Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, it's time for a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done, Doug. Thank you. God bless you and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. And with that, to start things off this morning, very well done. Time for the weather, and it's brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger and the crew. I'm telling you, they turned the lock in the door at about 7 o'clock this morning to better serve you at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Right there on the Burley Paul Highway. You can't miss them. They've got all your equipment, all your tools to help you get ready to meet spring head on for your gardens, your lawns, rototillers, everything. They've got it right there at K&R Rental. Number to call if you have questions, 678-3122. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Typical springtime conditions for today and for the rest of the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies, slight breeze out of the east-northeast at about 15 miles an hour, gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Looking at a high of 47 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 28. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 58 with an overnight low of 30. Saturday, sunny, expecting mid-60s, still a little bit breezy, partly cloudy for Saturday night with a low of 39. By Sunday, mostly sunny, mid-60s, 70 for Monday. That's a look at your weather forecast for us up at the Ranch.
She does a great job. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by some folks that really can help you with all the best of tools and equipment for long and short-term rental. And I'm talking about K&R Rental on the Burley Paul Highway. Number to call, 678-3122. Caller, I'll be there momentarily. Stand by. I also want to acknowledge my dear friends that get there early in the morning, too, at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I'm talking about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And I've said this now for almost 20 years. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. And that's not bragging at all. That's a fact by a company that is in business now almost 7 decades. Please get a hold of them today. 678-0459. 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And a good morning to our caller.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Hey, what do you think of the president withholding funds for the WHO?
Well, you've already heard me say that all week long. I have said, and I can prove it on all the tapes that we have, I absolutely 100% agree with making them shape up or ship out. And the best way to make them shape up is to take the money away.
Exactly. Why should we be doing most of the funding when they are against us? Why do we pay people to be against us?
We are paying on a per annum basis, and these figures, of course, I know somebody's going to say, well, you didn't get that right to the penny. I'm just going to give a kind of a paraphrase on this. But we're putting in almost $50 million a year more than what China does. And yet we get slapped in the face. And I'll tell you something. You don't get better results by giving somebody a pay raise or the continuation of money. You get their attention that they better clean up the ship if you take the money away.
Exactly. I'm 100% for that. And Nancy Pelosi and her statements disgust me because I remember that lady standing for 8 hours in a filibuster for illegal aliens.
Yeah.
But during the State of the Union address, she wouldn't stand 30 seconds for a patriot.
Doug, I'm gonna say this about the Democratic Party, and I know that we have Democrats here, but none of them have got the backbone or the spine to call into this program and have a professional, very nice, courteous conversation about their platform or what they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it. The Democratic Party is made up now of demented, sick people that absolutely want to take our Constitution and trash it. They want to take the value systems in America and trash them. They are looking for nothing more than power. And yes, I will say that this coronavirus is a political tool for them to try to gain power and votes. And I find it sick, and I find them sickening.
Exactly. Like that one, was it the mayor that had that, or the sheriff that had those people arrested at a synagogue?
Yep.
And he said, when he was interviewed, his statement was, what about the First Amendment, the Bill of Rights? Well, that's above my pay grade.
Well, wait a minute. Whoa. I want to make sure you correct your statement, and we only deal in facts. That was the governor of New Jersey that said that. He said it last night on television that those kind of things relating to the Constitution were above his pay grade, and that's idiocy. That man should be voted out of office right now or thrown out with impeachment procedures because it's not above his pay grade. He's supposed to know the Constitution and the values and the laws before he does any implementation of idiocy like he did.
I mean, doesn't he swear to uphold the Constitution when he takes that oath of office?
Evidently not.
Evidently, he's never read the Constitution.
You know, I was so upset about that interview last night, and my lovely bride's out in the other room, and she's kind of shy, and she wouldn't come in and talk about this right now. But there was a great opportunity for maybe us having to buy a new TV set last night, because I jerked off one of my Justin boots and was ready to hurl it. I was so upset at this governor of New Jersey talking in such an unprofessional and stupid manner, and he's a Democrat, by the way, that he didn't know the Constitution, he didn't know the First Amendment, he didn't have anything to do with it because he considered it above his pay grade. Doug, this is a politician that needs to be ridden out of town on a rail.
I think a lot of them need to. I personally think before you take the oath of office, you need to take a test on the Constitution to see if you know what you're going to uphold.
They would fail. They would fail.
Most of them would.
Absolutely. You know, I saw that interview, and I could not wait for this morning's program, hardly, to absolutely pass that along, that not only the governor of New Jersey, but also the governor of Michigan, acting totally like a Gestapo, telling people that they can't go to their cabins, telling people they can't go fishing unless it's in a kayak. How many people, Doug, my dear friend, that you know are my age, how many guys on crutches that are cowboys are going to try to get in a kayak and go out on Lake Michigan fishing? Ain't going to happen there, pard.
Well, I don't use crutches, but I won't get in a kayak. There's no way. And you know what? Just speaking of kayaks, do you remember those people that went out on offshore protesting that drilling rig?
Yes.
Those plastic kayaks?
Yeah.
I mean, do they know where the plastic comes from?
Good point, Doug. No, I tell you what, this whole thing, and it all dovetails into what our own governor said yesterday, and I want to say this, and just bear with me a second, Doug.
Yeah.
I was not happy at all with the press conference with Governor Little yesterday. I've supported Brad. I absolutely applaud him for what he said and did over bills 500 and 509. And he passed those into law, and I applaud him for it. But now, to say that we've got to stay at home 2 more weeks until the possibility of the end of April, a stay-at-home order, I'm done. I want to say that and emphasize it. I'm done. I'm going to use all the precautions I can, but I'm also going to start living again, like I said in the opening statement this morning. And I'm not going to hole up in my home anymore living in fear. That's not living. And I'm an old man, and I don't know how much time God's got left for me, but I'm not going to spend it sitting in my lazy boy recliner looking outside going, gee, my life is over.
Exactly. I don't know, I've heard rumor that there's going to be a same protest up in Boise like there was in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is true, somebody that knows about it, please get on and tell us.
Yeah, but wait a minute. You can't say it's the same, because it's not. I think some of the absolute destitute thinking of Governor Whitmer back in Michigan has not been expressed by Governor Little. So let's not say and qualify them as the same.
Well, I didn't mean the same tactics have been taken. I mean, if there's going to be a protesting this thing, let us know so some people can come up and participate in it.
Oh, absolutely. And you'll see my white pickup trying to get to the front of the line, because I'm not going to stand for this anymore. The people...
Anyway, you got another caller, and we need to take care of our senior centers. I know for 2 more weeks now we can't go eat at a senior center, but call them and see if they're doing meals to go.
Absolutely.
And pick meals up and donate, because you'll have a full heart if you do.
I love it. Thanks, Doug. Really appreciate your call. Thank you. Caller, I know you've waited, but I got to ask you, please stay on the line a minute. I've got to tell everybody about Dino Septic Service. Sometimes when I get to rambling, I got to take care of business too. Stay with me. Dino Septic Service, and they are the best at what they do. I'm not bragging. They're not bragging. Like I said, it's facts. I give you the facts. These people are so nice, so fast, and so friendly with the greatest of service. I urge you to call them today. They take care of your septic tank pumping and your liquid waste removal and your sewer and sink drain line cleaning, and they provide the greatest of backhoe services and water and sewer lines installed. I'm telling you, don't wait. Please call them at 436-6526 or 678-1638. Dino's Septic Service, the best. And with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Also, real quick, and again, that caller, I don't mean to make you mad, but I've just got to take care of some things here. I want to remind you about Jeff and the crew. I had a nice visit with Jeff yesterday. They are busy. I kidded him yesterday. I said, in that wind, I got a picture in my mind's eye of you standing out in the middle of an 80-acre field holding on to a wheel line. And he said, that's not far from the truth. Magic Valley Irrigation at 44 East, 500 South of Burley. And the numbers to call them, they are the experts to help you with all your irrigation needs. 678-3101. That number again, 678-3101, 431-3101. Also, they are the pros. Magic Valley Irrigation. Please call them today. Caller, you have been so patient. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And, you know, Nancy Pelosi thinks she's the queen bee of Congress, and she's going to stall this off as long as she can possibly do it to ensure that there will be a recession.
Wait a minute, Keith. Keith.
Will not be reelected.
Keith, wait a minute. I need you to Keith, wait a minute. I need you to define what you're saying, stall off, because don't just say she's going to stall this off. What are you referring to?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, it's obvious. What is she going to stall off? Is she going to stall off some of the programs that the Republicans are trying to get through Congress to help and aid and abet small businesses? Yes, that's the fact. But I just was asking you to amplify and be more specific about what you meant.
Well, this is the bill that's going to ensure that the small businesses will be able to continue.
Yeah.
Because if they can't, we are going to go into a recession.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I got to tell you that I'm a small business, and I absolutely don't know how long I can stay in effect. And that's not anything that I'm proud of. We're just doing the very best we can to hang on. But Nancy Pelosi and these sick, perverted Democrats trying to hold up that bill, just like you said, the money to help small businesses, they have changed the rules on some of these loans or grants, if you will, to small businesses. I think they've changed them like 15 times in the last 7 days. This is absolute incompetency, and there are people like me and others that are small business owners that are trying to stay afloat. That dadgum Congress, I had to almost bite my lip. They'd better get it done.
Well, we are caught between a rock and a hard place, because if she doesn't get her way, she's going to cause problems.
Yep.
And the only way she's going to get her way is to put all this pork in that bill.
Yeah.
And she knows that the Republicans will not even one of them would vote for that, so she thinks it's not her fault.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. What you said is absolutely the truth. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer also. I mean, there are a couple of knuckle draggers that absolutely have no business, in her case putting on a dress, his case putting on a three-piece suit, and representing the American public. They're pathetically disadvantaged because they're not smart enough to really do the right thing.
How can we possibly overrule her?
I don't know.
I don't know of any way.
Other than just getting somehow to throw them out of office. But, I mean, what they're doing, and I'll use the term knuckle dragging again because that's what I think they are, they're hurting small business to the point where every day, every hour that goes by, there are small businesses that are clinging, and they're like that picture of the kitty cat holding on to the knot at the end of the rope. That's where they're at, and I can relate to them.
Well, I'll tell you what, Congress is getting used to be pushed around by other presidents, but not since Ronald Reagan have we seen a president who's got the guts that President Trump has.
I agree with you.
I'll tell you what, I'll go to the end of the earth to support him.
You know, I'm going to tell you something else, too, and you know this is true because you've been one of our faithful listeners and a member of Lunch Bunch and everything for years and years, you and Nancy. But you know you've heard me on this program 100 times asking for the Democrats to come on this show and explain their platform, explain why they feel the way they do about certain things, and none of them, and you know this is true, Keith, they may be your neighbors, they may live in your area, they may not, but none of them have had the backbone to call and come on the air. But they'll certainly call me after the program and chew me out and send nasty emails.
Yeah, and if you put them on the spot, Zeb, they will change the subject.
Yeah, they're like a peacock. Yeah.
Well, Well, you have a good morning.
All right, my friend. Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to back up on this. I think this is absolutely despicable what's going on back in D.C. with Schumer and Pelosi. I have nothing that I can say that is decent for those people. I mean, there has got to be some help. There's got to be some help. And then Nancy coming out, Botox Nancy, hold on, caller, I'll be right there, and saying that we should stay locked up with stay-at-home orders and not put the economy back in motion until there is a zero chance at infection. Sweetheart, Nancy, even though you're not real bright, please don't show it every day. There is no opportunity ever in life for zero opportunities. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. When I think of Cortez, Elmore, Pelosi, and Schumer, and I think about all the men and women in our service that have given up their life to provide these people with the powerful positions they have, it makes me want to throw up.
Tony, you're, how do I say this politely without hurting your feelings, but I think I know you well enough. Excuse me for choking. I think I know you well enough I can say this without hurting your feelings, that you are an elderly senior that has been there and done that. And how old did you say you're going to be celebrating this year?
In May, I'll be 90.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this man, I have the utmost respect for him and his wife, Mary. Tony is absolutely sharp as a tack, and he's lived through all the different administrations from the East Coast to living right here in the state of Idaho. And when he says something, you better listen to him because it's absolutely bona fide fact. And Tony...
I've been to Osan and Busan. I spent time in Saigon and Hanoi, and I was over there when Operation Vulture was being put on. And I've seen the living conditions that many different countries would give their lives for to have what we have over here.
Absolutely.
And we have this destructive bunch of animals up there in Washington collecting all these benefits being provided by you and I, and who was given the right to be in this position by all these servicemen that gave their lives to provide this.
So well stated. So well stated. Tony, I salute you and Mary. I consider you dear friends. God bless you and thank you for your call like you do every day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Nice man. Very articulate man. Want to remind you about Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, yes. And, okay, I got that message, Wheels. Thank you. I'm trying to read the phone at the same time of doing this, and I want to tell everybody about Berry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. And they've got a brand new inventory with all the Bobcats and all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators and all the scissor lifts and all the trenchers. Woo! For the lift and dig and pushing and carrying jobs, they've got it all. Stop in, please, and see them at Berry Equipment and Rental. Excellent folks. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very proud, and I mean that when I say that, because if I don't believe in something, I'm not going to give it a lot of accolades, but we are so blessed here in this state of Idaho to have people that I think stand up for us, and this next man that's on the program is one of those gentlemen. He is the Speaker of the House, Representative Scott Bedke. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, Zeb. How are you this morning?
I am great. Let's cut right to the chase, Mr. Speaker, because we don't have a lot of time. I know that you had sent a very articulate, a very professional, and a very respectful letter to Governor Brad Little asking him not to impose an extension on the stay-at-home order. What was the gist of the letter that you'd like to tell my audience?
Well, here's the thing, Zeb, and first off, I I want to commend all Idahoans for stepping up and making a tough situation better. We have indeed flattened the curve, as they say, with regard to the spread of the virus, and Idahoans have been doing their part, and particularly in this area where everything is ag, most things are ag-based. It's kind of business as usual there. But I take my hats off to the Idahoans statewide for making this happen. People want to make this letter into something that it is not. They want to make it be a wedge issue or a wedge between me and our good friend Brad Little, and that is not the case. But having said that, in the lead up to making major decisions, it's not a bad thing that there's more than one opinion represented in the room, and so it's in that context that I wrote the letter. It's okay, and then there should be more than one opinion in the room. But when the boss makes a decision, and I guess in this case he is the boss. I mean that with all respect to the separation of powers, he made a decision, and I'm committed to help to carry that out. But the point of my letter was this. The state of Idaho is large and diverse, and we don't all have the same problems when it comes to the coronavirus. And we have every locality has a unique situation, and there's local knowledge there. We have a perfectly good South Central Public Health District, as does every region of the state, that can locally interpret these state guidelines, and I was advocating for that because the goals that the governor is trying to accomplish with the statewide order arguably have already been accomplished in some parts of the state, in that we don't have, thank heavens, the problems that they do in the Treasure Valley or even in the Wood River Valley. And so there is an ability to modify, from my opinion, and I made that case. Also, we have got to start worrying about the economy. We cannot just take a couple of months off here as a nation and avoid economic catastrophe. You know that. Everybody that signs the front of a paycheck or a check knows that, and everyone knows that on some level. We're already dumping potatoes. We're dumping milk. All of the other commodity markets are going down, and we can ill afford to take a couple of months off when it comes to the economy. Now, that's not to downplay the seriousness of the coronavirus. That, please don't get me wrong there. But we can't just keep living on government checks either. And at some point, there's going to be a balance between proper deference to the health issues and at the same time getting the economy back on track, because what we're doing right now is unsustainable. We're putting it on our credit cards, and they're getting maxed out, and Idahoans get this. Now, again, that's not to downplay the seriousness of the health issues, and that's not what I'm doing. And I'm not trying to create a wedge between the legislative branch and the executive branch. But in the lead up to that big decision, I think it was absolutely proper that there be other voices in the room, since we can't meet and we're not in the room personally. It was appropriate that I write a letter. And as you said, I was very respectful to the governor and very respectful to his position. It is a tough position, and during times like this, but at the same time, I pointed out that that there is room for local interpretation of the statewide guidelines. And again, I am not advocating that we open up bars and nightclubs and restaurants and have large gatherings, but at the same time, in a proper social distancing, we can get back to work, and we should. And the quicker we do, the shallower the recession will be. I hope it bounces right back, but we got to be prepared if it is not. So that's the upshot of the letter, Zeb. And there's going to be risk. There is always risk, and we have got to at some point face that risk because there's not going to be a vaccine in the foreseeable future, at least short term. There's not, quote, herd immunity. That means not enough people, or we don't think enough people in the population have been exposed, and so that they're immune to it. So at a certain point, we can't just take the next 6 months off while this, straightens itself out. It won't, number one, and we can ill afford it, number two.
Let me jump in here and throw some numbers at you because you are very well acquainted with what's going on not only in the state of Idaho but nationwide. Last year, considering last year to be 2018 to 2019, the flu killed in the state of Idaho 58 people. What's interesting about that number, 55 of the 58 were over 50. There was only one that passed away under the age of 18 and two between the ages of 19 and 49. 58 people. Right now, as of this morning, there has been a consideration of 41 lives, they say, have been lost due to complications with the coronavirus. So the flu killed more people. And another fact that I want to bring out, nationwide, we're looking at a figure right now of 30,000 people that have died with the coronavirus, and the CDC came out with a report yesterday that if we don't get back to work, there's going to be over 77,000 people die from depression, deaths from suicide, and heart attacks. The numbers are telling the truth, Scott. We've got to get back to work.
Yeah, we do, and that's not to downplay the loss of life, whether it's from influenza or from coronavirus or from any other source. That's hard. And so when it is the minute you start talking about getting the economy back on track, then people say, well, then that means you're okay with people dying, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. And anyway, it's hardly not even worth dignifying it with a response. But at the same time, the points that I've already made, we just can't quit working, and there is a limit to government money, and government money is nothing other than our money, and that the governments take through the taxing systems, and as we dig ourselves deeper in the hole, that's a hole that we're going to have to climb back out of, and that's my point. Now, I would advocate now, all right, so we've extended the 2-week order, and they are already modifying that so that businesses that were non-essential, quote, before can work, if they give deference to the social distancing, then they can get back to business as well. And so they're already modifying that. But we should use the next 2 weeks to get ready, to get everything that needs to happen to get back, to get the economy back on track. Let's use the next 2 weeks to find out what the obstacles are and to address those right now. One other point is that the 3 weeks that we've taken off at this, that ended on April 15th, has created a increased capacity. In other words, the hospitals and the healthcare system is way better prepared now after the 21 days of preparation to handle spikes and to handle increased caseload. Now, I'm certainly not advocating that we all disregard the protocols, but there is less reason to be scared now, and because fear is what's driving this at this point, and there's less reason because our hospitals and healthcare system is better prepared now with regard to supplies and masks and gowns and all those types of things. We're way better prepared to handle it.
Scott, we have a caller, and I know we've got limited time, but I'm going to take one call with a question for you. Caller, real quick, please. Caller, are you there? Wheels, is there a caller on the line or not?
Yeah, Keith was there, but I'm going to see what's the...
All right, and never mind. We're going to have to hang up. They've got to be ready to go. Scott, let me ask you this. What about using safety precautions like the masks and the gloves and the staying social distance away from everybody? Please tell me why we can't implement more business to open up now instead of waiting 2 weeks, and especially our houses of worship. Why can't we go to church if we don't have the fellowship hours and we practice all the social amenities of these various safety practices? Why can't churches go back and be open?
Well, I think that's a good point, and depending on your faith, I mean, the church is viewed as a sanctuary and as a holy place. People like to go there to think and to contemplate and to commune with their Maker. And I would think that there is an ability that there ought to be an ability to do that. At the same time, I'm not telling the churches and their leaders how to conduct their business, but I think that there could be if we stay within the lines, then I think that there is an ability to loosen that up to a point as well. Anyway, so there's that. It's too bad, and this is going to be a tough situation for a while. And but Idahoans are up to the task. We need to watch out for our neighbor. If we all acted as if we had, they say that you can be without symptoms and still be contagious. Mm-hmm. Well, if each of us acted as if we had the disease and could give it to somebody else, and we treated everybody else out there as if they had the disease and could give it to us, and we just and went about our business with staying within the protocols, then that would be the neighborly thing to do here, and we could get through this. Now, there are parts of our population, parts of our communities who are at higher risk, and we should be very mindful of that. We should go out of our way to not expose them to the risk, but at the same time, we can't abandon these people. It is a time for us to practice our religion and to take care of our neighbors and do those types of things. Again, all within the proper protocol.
Absolutely. Scott, real quick, I've got to take a minute here and have you amplify just a little bit more about ag. From the field to the plate and all the people that are in between, the processors and the distributors and the truckers and everything, we have got to get back to where our food supply is absolutely dependable. Wouldn't you say this is getting critical right now?
It absolutely is. The supply chains cannot break down, or the problems just compound. And of course, we're seeing the demand for milk and beef and potato products and all of the things in between are the demand is not there. So a lot of our products go through go to a restaurant or through through convention centers and that type of thing, and that has been shut off. And it's going to take a while for that to get back on track, and it's going to take a while for the supply chain to adjust. But we cannot. But again, we cannot afford to take a couple of months off economically and just survive on government checks.
We have a caller back on the line, I hope, and I'm going to give the caller opportunity. Quickly, you're on the air, real fast.
Well, this is a different caller, but yesterday I took it upon myself to call lots of legislators across the state, not just around here. And some of them described Brad Little as not listening to anybody I don't know about how you feel about whether or not he listened to you, but some of them described him in a way that was very unnerving to me, and I wonder, what the deal is. He said he was going to change something, but he didn't change much of anything. I just am very concerned. Bye.
Respond to the caller, please, quickly, Scott.
Well, Zeb, I apologize, but I couldn't hear a word.
He said, and I don't know what's going on with our sound system over at the board, but please, we need to rectify that. Basically, the gist of his call was that he had called some of the area legislators around the state, et cetera, and they said that they were concerned with Governor Little's attitude and that he seemed to be a little aloof on this situation somewhat, and they were concerned. What is your response to that?
Well, the governor's being bombarded from every side on this, and and he is like you or I would be. At a certain point, you've got to make a decision, and again, that's why people are trying to make this letter into things that it is not. In the decision-making process, in the time leading up to the decision, that was when the letter was written and sent, and so I'm not second-guessing his decision, but I am pointing out that it's like you know that I have grandkids in Twin Falls, and when we drive over to Twin Falls, Sarah always wants to go on Highway 30, and I want to go on the Golden Valley Road, but we end up in Twin Falls with grandkids. There's more than one way to do this. There needs to be multiple voices in the room, and when the presiding officer makes the decision, then we should get behind it. But we're not obligated to not give our opinions along the way, and I will continue to do so. We've got to get the economy back on track, and we got to temper our response to the health issues with a response to the economic conditions as well. That's my point. Absolutely.
Caller, I'm going to take your call, but I'm only going to give you 15 seconds real fast. I'm out of time. Go.
My question for Senator Bedke is if we transfer the powers to the health districts, what will those powers be, and when will they give them up, as those are not elected officials?
Well, that's a great point. But the Department of Health and Welfare, likewise, are not elected officials, and they work within a system. And the reason why we have regional health districts is to address these regional issues. Every locality has a unique mix of problems, and they are well equipped and staffed to address those things. We don't do any other thing in Idaho statewide. We break it up into regions because we are so diverse. The Upper Valley is different than the Magic Valley, which is different than the Treasure Valley, etc. And that's the same thing here. And I'm not. This was not about taking the power away from the governor or anyone else, but it was more at empowering the local health districts to tailor the state guidelines in a way that allowed more effort, more concentration, more emphasis on the economy.
Thank you for your call, and I want to say thank you. He's given up more time than he said he had this morning. Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, coming on the program, talking about his letter to the governor that was very respectful and very well put forth regarding the extension of the shutdown here in the state of Idaho. Speaker Bedke, thank you so much, and you can rest assured we're going to be calling you to have you back on. Thank you so much.
Well, that's true, and I would remind everybody as their stimulus checks start coming in the mail, they need to spend those locally.
Absolutely.
To keep that money in Idaho.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so that's my parting shot. We'll see you.
All right. Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, thank you very much for taking the time to come on the program this morning. We've got to get a weather forecast on right now, and the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And I'm telling you, their phone lines are open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they're happy to answer any questions you might have about your hearing health problems. Please, they're getting through this rough time right now by serving you as well as they can on the phone and And they're also offering a drive-up clinic, and if you'll just call them, they'll tell you all the information. 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, serving you at our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Typical springtime conditions for today and for the rest of the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies, slight breeze out of the east-northeast at about 15 miles an hour, gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Looking at a high of 47 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 28. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 58 with an overnight low of 30. Saturday, sunny, expecting mid-60s, still a little bit breezy, partly cloudy for Saturday night with a low of 39 by Sunday. Mostly sunny, mid-60s, 70 for Monday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebra Duran.
Thank you, Gina. Boy, she does a nice job. And so do the folks at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And I stress the fact that they're always there to provide expert diagnostic testing with the best technology for your hearing health. Call them at 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, good morning. You're on the air, please.
Good morning, Zeb. I apologize for that last thing that happened there on there, because I was waiting for the cow to moo, and it mooed, and then I got hung up on. So I apologize for that.
Well, that's all right. I assume.
What I emphasize here is I have 4 children. Okay, when growing up, if one of them did something wrong, do I punish everybody? No. That's not the way you do it. And I think the governor should look at it the same way. But, on the other hand, Cassia, Minidoka County, we've been very good about obeying the rules and everything. But if we did open it up, would that cause a floodgate for outlying areas to come to Burley and break all the rules?
Well, of course, now, there again, that's speculation. I honestly believe, and I haven't got a lot of time, but I'm going to say this to you. I honestly believe that if we adhere to safety precautions of wearing gloves, plastic gloves, wearing a face mask that is a good face mask, and adhering to social distancing, we can maintain and operate businesses. And this garbage, and that's what it is, of saying some are essential and some are not, that's ridiculous. All businesses are essential. All businesses are essential, and each and every one of them can adhere to the same safety regulations and means to keep their help and the people that are the shoppers in their store healthy. So I think we need to get back to work, and I'm just going to let it go at that.
Good enough. Thank you.
All right, my friend. Caller, stand by. 30 seconds. I've got to get this word in for the May 19th primaries. Vote by mail. Wheels, if you would, my friend, please.
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Representative Fred Wood to explain this year's voting by mail.
All citizens who are registered to vote will receive postcards by mail from the Secretary of State within the next 2 weeks. Please fill out this application to request your absentee ballot, then mail. When you receive your ballot, vote and mail according to instructions prior to May 19th. Please vote absentee ballot prior to May 19th, paid for Fred Wood campaign.
Thank you very much, Fred. Appreciate it, and we'll be talking about that much, much more. Caller, good morning. You've got a minute and a half. Go.
All righty. I just want to put a phone number out there for everybody. Get your pencils and papers ready. This is for Nancy Pelosi's office in Washington, D.C., to let her know how you feel, how she's doing. Be polite, be firm, no vulgarity. And the number is 202-225-4965.
You know, Doug, I appreciate what you said is that, like Dave Bego, my dear friend that comes on every Wednesday from Indianapolis, be courteous but be firm. Absolutely be courteous, but be firm and don't waver in your wants of how you want a situation handled. And I urge everybody to call. I'll repeat it, 202-225-4965. That is for Nancy Pelosi back in Washington.
Yes, and I suggested that she read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I suggested that she works for the American people, that she goes to work for the American people. I suggested that the small businessmen, the people that own their own business, that couldn't get the loan on this first deal, the second money they were going to put out would help us, and we are going to lose our business.
Yep.
I suggested that she works for the American people, not for the lobbyists and the socialists.
Doug, I appreciate your call, as I do all my calls on this program. I've always said I have the smartest audience of anybody in radio, and I really appreciate it. God bless you, man. I've got to run to the news, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Absolutely. I wish I had more time this hour. Open Forum Hour always is very interesting and informative. Thank you to all the listeners that called in, and again, special thank you to Speaker Scott Bedke. We're going to take off right now. Wheels is going to pull the trigger on turning on the CBS News. I'll be back in 7. I am so fed up with this transgender issue. And, we're going to talk so much more about that next week. I'm going to have some very reputable people on, and we're going to talk about that. Good morning. On the other hand, Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They are open. They are serving you at all 7 locations. Safe, clean environment, and the best in tires, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more. Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, Greystone Crossing, Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Wheels, old buddy, please play this good word for the May 19th primaries.
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Senator Kelly Anton to explain this year's voting by mail.
The outcome of every election we have is determined by who shows up to vote. This year, Idaho's primary election is a mail-in only election. It's not ideal, and it's not the way we'd like to do it. But your vote does make a difference for all of us in Idaho. So please, first request a ballot, then mail it in, and make your voice heard. This message is paid for by the Anthem for Idaho Senate campaign.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Appreciate it. And also, I want to give a great big thank you, and I mean that, for all the years that they've been on my program, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. They care. And they're so community-oriented in helping and serving you and your family. And when there's the passing of a loved one, they provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And always, underline this, it's really true, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to write the number down and remember how they can help you. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636. And Joel Heward and his staff, of course. Joel also helping you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now on Thursdays, and I know this lady is so busy, and she's so conscientious, and she's so caring about what's going on in our community, our area, as the CEO and president of the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce. I say a good morning to Penny Main. Penny, good morning.
Well, bless your heart, friend. I hear your early hour was a little lively. How did that go?
Always good. I have the greatest listening audience of any radio program in the Northwest, and I commend and compliment all the people for their great thinking, and that also extends to you over at the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, yes, indeed. You know, I still say it's a great day to be in business in Mini-Cassia, and I do believe that with all my heart. We're still behind closed doors, respecting the mandates. Again, the amended mandates set by the governor yesterday, and But we continue to strive to be an advocate for economic growth in this area. You know that, and hopefully everyone else does too. So, and a shout out to Senator Anson. I was going to just briefly mention that. So I talked a little bit last week. It really only took 1 week from the time I went online to request my ballot. By the time it landed in my mailbox, by the time I sent it back, literally 1 week is all it took. I do have a phone number, though. We had a couple of people call in here. There are some folks who are not on a computer or on the Internet, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're wondering how to get their ballot because they don't access the Internet. And there still are a handful of people out there, and with respect to them, they're interested. So they can get a mail-in ballot simply by calling the clerk's office at the Cassia County Courthouse, and the number is 208-878-1004. That's 878-1004. So I think that's really, really important, and Kelly's absolutely right. We do need to make sure that, now more than ever, with everything we've been through, this is a time to have your voice heard, and if you don't want it heard, then, well, I'll leave it at that, right?
Don't go to the coffee shop and complain.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yes.
So, last week, along with my two employees, we made a great outreach. We called over 280 members on the phone. We got them on the phone. In the back of my mind, emails are great, but I think it was time to kind of reach out to all of our members to let them know we're still here working for them. It was the outcome of that was really extraordinary. People by nature really, I think, appreciated just a phone call, and lots of folks bent our ears about a handful of different things, but it was a great exercise. We were sure interested in hearing how people feel about the mandate and all of these things, and we're also passionate about it. But it was a great idea producing exercise. I will tell you that we got lots of great ideas for the coming year, so it was fun.
And what about? I've got some things I want to comment to you about before we end up this segment, but I'll let you go through the website updates, etc. before I ask that.
Okay, well, let me just roll through these real quick. Again, I encourage you to go to the MiniCasiaChamber.com. It's that simple. That's our website. On the front page, you will see a couple of different things, primarily with regard to COVID-19. You can click on any one of those links, everything from the governor's updated address from yesterday to any information you may need with regard to the SBA loans, etc. Will take you right to the link, take you right to those websites. We also have an actual page, if you will, on our website called COVID-19. Again, it kind of elaborates some of those things, the updates, etc. It also gives you a full rundown of all of the restaurants primarily and coffee shops that are doing business and how they're doing business. So I encourage you to head to the MiniCasiaChamber.com website to get some more information. And many of you know we do have a weekly news blast, an email news blast called the Monday Motivator. It's been popular, that's for sure, the last month or so, and we have lots of updates going on. So we're updating again today because everything changes so quickly. If you are not part of our Monday Motivator e-blast list, please call us, email us at info@minicasiachamber.com. Or, again, you can call us here at the Chamber. I'm here every day behind closed doors, so come by, knock on the door, and say hi to me, because I'm kind of lonely out here. The phone number is 208-679-4793. And, again, just a brief reminder, save the date. Our golf scramble due to COVID has been moved back, but it's going to happen. And we need all the support we can get right now. The Chamber does as a nonprofit organization. So save the date, September 2nd at the River's Edge Golf Course. It's going to be a great day, lots of fun. Looking forward to a great event again this year. But September 2nd is the date at the River's Edge here in Burley.
Okay, I want to say this, and I'm very blunt and very honest on this program, or there's no need to turn on the microphone. Penny and I visited yesterday, and on her behalf as being president and CEO of the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce, we were kind of brainstorming ideas as to how we can better serve many of the businesses in this area and create more of an aura of understanding during this shutdown period. And starting next week, we're going to be discussing some of those for the local area, how we might be of better service to some businesses. And so, Penny, we'll get that all put together for you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. You had a great idea, and I think that's going to be lots of fun, and I can't wait to put the details on that, because I think that's going to be certainly more than anything the opportunity to drum up a little business for some of these folks. Not to mention get people together again, still trying again to remember that with the governor's mandates to respect social distancing and still be mindful of that when you're out in the public. But I think it's going to be lots of fun to give folks a chance to kind of get together and, again, just rally around local business. I think that's so critical right now.
We cannot leave this segment without having the opportunity to have Penny either answer the question correctly or go down in a cloud of dust. And the question is this week, this is an easy one for you, lady.
No, wait a minute. You say that every single time, and that's not always true, but
well,
roll with it.
I try to make you the epitome of an encyclopedia of answers, but sometimes you let me down. But here is the question.
Me of something, I'm not sure what. Let's find out today how I do.
All right, here's an easy one for you. Who was the very accomplished accordion player on the Lawrence Welk Show?
Oh, no, I can see him. Zeb. Darn it.
No, that's not his name. He did never go by Darn It. Never.
Darn. I can see him. I can see his face. In fact, I think we need to bring back Lawrence Welk. That's my
Amen to that. I will give you a little clue. I will give you a clue. All right.
Wait a minute. Before you do that, where am I at on the scoring list? I'm even right now, right?
No, you're one up.
Oh.
Yeah, last week.
It's a great day. So
yeah.
I'm not really going to go in the hole if I lose on this.
No, you'll just be back at mediocrity at 500.
Okay. All right. Well, better that than in the hole. So, okay. Let me have it. All right. Okay, give me a little bit of a clue.
Okay, the only clue I can give you because of time constraints, his first name was Myron.
Myron Florin.
You get half a point.
Well, at least I'm not in the hole.
No.
Oh, my gosh, I could see his face. But I feel better about even being able to remember his face, frankly.
Okay, you're at about 750% instead of batting 500. Okay, we'll give it to you.
Not too bad, hon. I appreciate that. Thanks for the clue. I would have never got it.
All right. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this lady does a wonderful job as the Mini-Cassia. I bit my tongue. Can I please have a moment to get healed up? Oh, my goodness, that hurt. Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Penny Mink. God bless you. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Zeb. God bless you, too. Bye.
All right, take care. Yikes, I bit my tongue. Hey, quickly, before we go to our next segment, I want to remind you about Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness, at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. I urge you to call the number. Why? Because they're closed on Mondays now with the new hours because of this coronavirus, and they want to serve you. They want to make sure you get taken care of on your new four-wheelers. They've got them all over there in the showroom floor. Or your service work. It's very important to make sure you get your four-wheelers serviced right now for the spring and summer. And they're offering 15% off on all service work. The number to call, 436-4771. I'll repeat it, 436-4771. Let's Ride. Don't forget to give them a call. Stop over 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Right now, we're going to do this interview with Nick Greenwell at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation.
I get a chance on this program to visit with a lot of my advertisers and sponsors and find out more about their business, more about how they're combating what's going on with the coronavirus, etc. And I'm on the phone right now with Nick Greenwell with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Good morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing well, Zed. How are you, sir?
I love your attitude. You have always, all the years I've known you, been upbeat, ready to go and take the world on. How are things with you and Burley Physical Therapy right now?
Well, you know, we're trying to keep our best leg forward here. There's a lot going on in the nation right now, in the world, and we are doing anything and everything to try and just keep people moving while we're obviously taking great precaution in keeping people safe and healthy. We are here at Burley Physical Therapy. We are still open. We are an essential business, and so we are probably running at about 60% right now. We've had a pretty good tail off in terms of numbers because of the elective surgeries not being performed. But, you know, post-surgical aches and pains and stiffness and those things don't take a break just because there's craziness in the world. And so we're doing everything that we can, both here in the office or in people's homes, or even over telehealth conferences and calls and things to try and support whatever they need, whether it's hands-on assistance or just guidance with a home exercise program in as safe a manner as possible.
You know, it's kind of, and I'm going to be very blunt like I am on the radio every day, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, sure, people need to be concerned about this coronavirus. Sure, they need to make sure that they're not exposing themselves to any danger. But on the other hand, tell me if I'm wrong, when you've got an ache and a pain or you're recouping from a surgery or an accident, you can't just put that on the back burner either.
No, absolutely not. And like you say, it's a calculated risk, right? Obviously, we're being as proactive and as health conscious as possible here in the facility with extra personnel on hand to wipe things down and sanitize things above and beyond what we normally do. But, yeah, it doesn't, you know, we can't just leave alone a post-surgical knee or a post-surgical rotator cuff and expect it not to get stiff. And so, again, you pick your battles, make sure that you're in good communication with your doctor. Most of our surgeons are of the opinion that as long as we're doing everything that we can to try and isolate people in private rooms and keeping the waiting room, you know, as empty as we can, that people need to come in if they can, if they're not severely immunocompromised, and let us help them mobilize those joints as best possible. And they have been very flexible with us. You know, a lot of times I'll get someone started after one visit and say, okay, here's your homework. I want you to come and see me in 10 days. I'm going to call you in a week. You know, let's make sure that we do this, this, and this. And if you're maintaining or gaining your motion, wonderful, we'll keep doing that. And if you're not, then we need to either sneak you in a little more often, as discreetly as we can, or I'm going to come to your house and do it there.
Now, what about going to people's homes? I mean, you're doing something there that could be a risk to you and or your staff, but it just shows to me your dedication towards serving your people that go to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation.
Well, I mean, our job is to get people better, whether it's here or there, and obviously our livelihood depends on having success and doing that and doing a good job. And you know, in the healthcare world, it's all about word of mouth, of course. And so if we're not holding up our end of the bargain as rehab, you know, professionals, we're going to have issues down the line. And so, again, we're just being extra cautious, following every CDC recommendation and guideline as far as personal protective equipment and sanitizing things. But yes, we are seeing a certain number of people in their homes now to just make sure that they're not stalling out or going to have a follow-up surgery to break scar tissue loose or whatever it be.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned telehealth, and this to me sounds like Star Wars from 20 years ago, but explain how that works and what you do.
You bet. So it's actually an emergency piece of legislature that was passed. Normally physical therapists aren't, our scope of practice does not allow telehealth for the most part. Some insurance companies are different, obviously, but and so what it means is that they've granted us temporary authorization to do that, meaning that, let's say you had a knee surgery or you're having back problems or whatever the need be, and you really need some therapy and you need some guidance there. After we've done our initial consultation, I have to do that in person, whether it's here at your home. But after that, what I can do is either it can be as simple as a phone call, checking on you and progressing things and answering questions, things like that, or through like a Skype call or a FaceTime call, some sort of video chat to where I can demonstrate things to you to be doing at home, or maybe you demonstrate to me how you're doing it, and maybe you have a question about it, or I can make a corrective action on it. Maybe you're doing the exercise wrong, or you want it to be more challenging or less challenging, or whatever it might be. And so we can do that, and then, again, the insurance companies have granted us authorization to do a partial billing for that to kind of help us on our end as well.
You know, let me stop right there and say maybe we should stress the number, the telephone number people can call, because if they're listening and they've got questions about, well, I can't go out, I don't know what to do, I need to take care of this, what is the best number and the times where they can get somebody to get some answers?
So our number here is 208-678-1191. And we've narrowed our arrows up just a little bit because of volume, and so we are sitting in the chair between 8 and 5 now. Normally we would open at 7 and close a little bit later, but again, just because of the current situation, we've narrowed that just a little bit. So anytime between 8 and 5, call that number if you have questions, concerns, or anything, and either we'll schedule a time for a one-on-one call or a FaceTime visit or something with one of our therapists. Or if I'm not busy at that point, I'll have my receptionist come get me, and we'll address it at that time.
Nick, you also own a different company away from physical therapy, but it's all related, and it keeps people healthy and in the trim, and that's Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue. What are you doing there for people that want to keep working out?
You know, that's a little different animal over there. We were forced to close that for health concerns and with the governor's statement a few weeks ago as a non-essential business. And so the doors are closed there. However, we have a very strong social media presence over at the gym there through our Facebook page, especially Elite Health Club Burley. And what we're doing right now is I'm having all of my group fitness instructors, our yoga people, and our step and strength people, and all that kind of stuff, our nutrition people, and they're doing live Facebook feeds and videos that you can log on to at home and follow on and still do your routine and try and stay moving at home in a safer environment. Hopefully in the next few weeks we'll start to see if we're going to be granted access to open that, at least on a partial basis. I know other states, northern part of Utah, for example, has allowed health clubs to open up in a kind of a guarded manner where you can only allow so many people in at a time and that kind of stuff. But I think we're moving in the right direction there. But for now, yeah, follow along social media, and if you want to get into a class, you can log on live, do it at home, and we're crossing our fingers so that we won't have to do that for too long.
This man and his staff really cares about you and your health. I urge you to get a hold of them today. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The telephone number 678-1191. Nick Greenwell, thank you. God bless you, and stay well, my friend.
Absolutely. You stay healthy and take care of your family and check on your neighbors.
All right, sir. Thank you much.
Thank you, sir.
Always look forward to having him on the air, and just a great gentleman that really cares about your health and well-being at, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell, very good friend of ours. Don't forget, too, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. They're so easy to find as you're going into Rupert on that first big curve. There they are. Yep, there they are. Stop. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more. Todd and his staff, very dedicated and responsive and accessible to help you. Please get a hold of them today. Your part in this is just to give them a call. Make an appointment at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. They're waiting right now, this very minute, to serve you. Want to remind you, too, and we talk about these folks every day, and we're very, very high on 7K metals. Yes, silver purchases that can be sent right to your home. You can help build yourself financial security and a great future with those silver purchases. And as I said, it comes right to your home, a saving opportunity for you, and a valued treasure for your loved ones. I'm really, really glad that we got introduced to 7K Metals and Lon Hardy at 312-8699 and Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. You be sure and call them. Call them and ask about 7K Metals. Tell them I told you to call. 7K Metals and Silver Purchases. You check it out today. Let's see what else have I got cooking here that I've got to remind you real quick. Oh, yes. Don't forget on Mondays at 10:30, we have Welcome Back, Vicky's Country Garden at 10:30, telling us all about how our garden grows, or how it should grow, and our lawns and care of our trees and shrubs and everything else. Don't forget that. 10:30 on Mondays, it's Vicky's Country Garden right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Really nice lady. We're going to go to the phone line right now, and our next guest is the executive director of Power the Future. I can't wait to visit with this man. I don't think he's ever been on our show before, so we'll say a great big welcome to Daniel Turner. Daniel, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, and great to be with you and your wonderful listeners.
I appreciate that, my friend. You're way back in the swamp, aren't you?
I am in the swamp. I am. There are some good people here who are trying to help drain it, and I think I'm one of them.
Well, please pass me a shovel. I'll help. Daniel, let me ask you this first and foremost. Tell us a little bit about Power the Future. What do you do? What are you trying to do? And how well are you doing it?
Yeah, well, I started this group a little more than 2 years ago, and the reason why I started it is because I found a huge disconnect between the men and women who work in the energy sector, the people who power our country, and that's why it's called Power the Future, and then the power brokers in D.C. and in big cities like New York and San Francisco, the liberal billionaire ideologues and the radical environmental groups who are really trying to set policy that affect those energy workers. There are guys working in coal, oil, and gas who are making a great living and also keeping our country afloat. But then there are radical groups that are trying to put them out of a job. And I felt like those workers needed a voice, and so I started this organization to hopefully be that voice.
I am very happy to have you on this program. Let me say that even our own Idaho Power has taken a left turn, and they have said that within the next 20 years they're going to be 100% green energy, which I think is complete idiocy. And I might also point out to you that I've invited them on this program many, many times, and they're cowards hiding under their desk, and they won't discuss the green energy and why we have to go away from our current very reliable energy programs. How would you respond if somebody said that to you, that they're going to demand that we go green energy and throw away a great energy base that we've had for years?
Exactly. And just in terms of the philosophy, it's nonsensical, right? We have this wonderful, reliable, inexpensive, and abundant energy supply. We have literally hundreds of years of oil, gas, and coal under our feet here in America. So on the one hand, that makes no sense to get rid of it, climate change myths aside. But more egregious than that, and this is why they don't want to come on your program and ask these questions, the technology, the science is not there. And I can go into long conversations about how much land you need for wind turbines or solar panels, how many kilowatts they produce, how much electricity grid uses, etc. It's just nonsensical. We cannot, right now, with our technology, power this country with renewables. And we are not even close to saying we will get there in 5, 10, 15, or 20 years. We may. I'm an optimist, and boy, there are a lot of smart people in this country, and they will discover something maybe one day, but they have not discovered it yet. So steps that politicians take to put us on that course are very dangerous steps.
Yeah, but Daniel, wait a minute. Let's stop the horse for a second and step off. Along with these elongated plans to create more solar farms and more of the thousands upon millions, actually, of acres of wind turbines, etc., it's a total desecration of our landscape with a very unreliable source of power.
It really is, and we've seen that in major cities around the world, and as well as some cities here in America, cities that have put these very high green mandates on, and they've done one or two things. In the case of Los Angeles, and your listeners may remember this, rolling brownouts are not uncommon, and that is because they have such high mandates to use green technology that they have made their electric grid unreliable. In the last couple of years, multiple times in Dodger Stadium, the lights have gone out in the middle of summer, right? It's because everyone's running their AC, and they don't have a reliable electric grid. So that's the one hand. And then on the other hand, what happens is the prices absolutely skyrocket, which is really penalizing middle-class and lower-class Americans. And to make up for the demand for electricity, they've gone back to old electric sources like coal that they claim to want to abolish in the first place. So California, for example, is very proud of how green they are. They buy most of their electricity out of state, mostly Oregon, where they burn coal. So it's really kind of a lie that they're green. They're just buying it from another place. Same with Vermont. Bernie Sanders' wonderful state buys a lot of its electricity from Canada, where they burn coal. So Bernie says, we don't burn coal in Vermont. Well, no, you just buy it from Canada, which burns it. That's like me putting my dog on the treadmill and saying I ran a couple miles.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and I've been to a couple county fairs and a hog calling contest, so I think I know a little bit about this program, and I've had many segments on energy. But the question always keeps coming back to me, why? Why does the demented left want to destroy our energy program in this country and basically turn us upside down into a subservient third world country? They're going to have to suffer too. Why do they want to do this idiocy?
Yeah, and that's the perennial question, and the best answer I have, and this is what I believe, and this is what I think is part of the leftist mentality. It's clearly not about energy. It's not even about climate change or the environment, but it is about power. And the energy industry is one of the last industries in America that is completely private. Public in the sense that you and I can buy stocks in a publicly traded corporation, but it is not controlled by the state. And if you look at leftists in the last 50 years especially, maybe even 100 years, starting with Woodrow Wilson, if you look at leftists, big industries that are not in the hands of government, they want to take over. Look at Obamacare, right? We never had a state-run health care system. Look at the last presidential campaign. Every candidate talked about Medicaid for all, basically state-run healthcare industry. And it's the same with energy. They want industries to be run by the state because it is a power grab, and that's just how leftists operate. They don't like free markets determining our energy industry.
Yeah, but, clarify this, and you're talking about the bottom falling out. If you keep dunning, if you will, all the ratepayers for much higher rates and higher taxation to support this lunacy, and pretty soon they go away and they fall by the wayside because they're broke and out of business or lost their homes, pretty soon the trickle-down hits the top, and these people are going to start suffering too, won't they?
Exactly. And the best case example of that is Venezuela, which has taken it to the obvious extremity of just a full communist state and a full economic collapse. But what's interesting about Venezuela is they have the world's largest proven oil reserves, more than America, more than Saudi Arabia. Gasoline at the pump is free. It is literally around 1 penny to free, and there are multiple days of waiting for there to be gas. And you say, how does the country that has the most amount of oil that is charging absolutely nothing for it not have any gas at the pump? And that's the result of communism, right? That's the result of this taken to the extreme. And so I warn people, if we did have a state-run system like you see in Venezuela, that is the inevitable consequence, because that's what socialism and communism always gives us. It gives us poverty and misery, and that's why I'm trying to be this voice for energy workers, because they're the ones who are on the front line who will lose their job if this state-run experiment ever happens.
You know, we have seen the emergence of complete lunacy with Bernie Sanders and others promoting a green energy program. And then, of course, the bartender that has no common sense whatsoever, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, following along in his hip pocket. But they have swayed, if you will, the younger generation, the millennials. And this is what makes me so afraid, Daniel, that they've got a complete new generation of sheep ready to go over a cliff.
Exactly, and that's the concern, and that's where Bernie Sanders has genuinely been effective. If you look at him from his 2016 campaign to where he is in 2020, he is saying the exact same things. What's different is that Hillary Clinton even supported fracking and talked about how it was good for places like Ohio and Pennsylvania and how many jobs it created. Barack Obama was a huge fan of fracking and celebrated it, much to the chagrin of the environmental left. So Bernie Sanders was an outlier in 2016. Fast forward 4 years, and every single candidate who ran basically said what he said. Some, like Tom Steyer and Governor Inslee from Washington State, they were even more extreme than Bernie Sanders. So you're absolutely right, and that's a great point. He has brought the entire party to the left, but the real problem is he has educated, quote-unquote, brainwashed an entire younger generation that believes this nonsense. Science be damned, logic be damned. Even the fact that the United States in the last 4 years is emitting fewer emissions than ever before, more than the Paris Climate Accords mandated, and we dropped out of the Paris Climate Accords, more than our European allies, our emissions are reducing while we are using more oil and gas than ever before. That you would think would be a point of celebration, but nope, it's not. The environmental left just ignores that because Bernie Sanders has been an effective champion of their lunacy.
You know, let me ask you this question, Daniel, and maybe you don't have a real good answer for it. I don't know, but here we are, 2020, going into the next election, and God help us all if a Democrat gets elected. I make no bones about it. I bare my chest. I can't stand the members of the Democratic Party and the so-called platform they want to put forth in front of the American people. That being said, how can we, common citizens, how can we turn this bus around before, like I said earlier, it goes over the cliff?
Yeah, that's the hardest thing facing us. And, you know, I like to consider our energy workers up there with the delivery men who are bringing food to the grocery stores and grocery store clerks. There are these people who are still working. They can't socially distance, right? Doctors and nurses, of course, and they're the real front line of this coronavirus epidemic. But energy workers are out there right now, every day, working at a loss, we might add, because of what's happened to the energy industry because of this pandemic. The best thing we can do to support them is recognize that at least you have gas in your car to drive to the store, right? At least you can power your house. You can put on the heat, the AC, depending upon where you live, right? That's a reliable thing that has kept us going. We so effortlessly as a nation said to tens of millions of school kids, okay, you're just going to have to learn online. Everyone log on to your computer. No one thought, well, can the electric grid sustain this? Of course we know it can, because this is America, and it's because we have a robust energy industry. So what we need to do is defend that part of it and say we don't want to compromise that. It's bad enough we sent manufacturing to China, and it's very dangerous. We sent medical supplies to China. Do we really want to send our energy grid to China that produces 90% of the wind turbines and solar panels? Do we want to do that as well? And so that's probably the best thing we can do is protect what we have, which is thoroughly American, and that includes energy.
You know, Daniel, over the last couple of days, we have witnessed some real gems that are putting forth misinformation and or lies. And falling into that category is Michigan's Governor Whitmer. And she made some outlandishly stupid, that's the simple word to use, stupid statements of keeping people at home. And she said, if you want to go on the lake, you can use a kayak, but you can't use a motorboat if you want to go fishing. Now, I don't know about you, Daniel, old buddy, but I really don't want to try balancing in a kayak out on Lake Michigan trying to fish. And I'll guarantee you one thing, that lady is not going to stop me from putting a boat with a motor on it so I can get back to shore. If you've ever been in a storm on Lake Michigan, you better hightail it for land. What is this idiocy about not having an engine?
It is amazing that these little tyrants have emerged. It really shows you in a moment of a crisis who you elected. And these experiments of choosing radical leftist governors or mayors, they seem like a fun little experiment for the left when things are functional, when schools are open and buses are running. But in a moment of crisis, now your little socialist experiment is really coming back to bite it on the rear. And Michigan is facing that. And I just warn your listeners and America as a rule, if you're worried about these little tyrants in the coronavirus epidemic, just imagine if they got elected in the climate change epidemic. Because if you watched any of the debates, they said very comfortably, we need to regulate diet, we need to regulate travel, we need to regulate work. Andrew Yang, who was a serious candidate for president, Andrew Yang said the government needs to start moving people to higher ground because of sea level rise. So if those people ever got a glimpse of power, could you imagine what they would do to free peoples in terms of eating your red meat, in terms of traveling, in terms of vacation, or using a motorboat, right? These people dislike the energy industry tremendously. They hate the combustion engine. The Green New Deal would ban the combustion engine. So this is a taste of what the radical green movement would look like if they ever got power in this country.
How do we, you and I and others of our ilk, how can we better inform the public and get the public to get off the couch, put down the bonbons, turn off Oprah, and go out and do something? What more can we do?
Yeah, that's this is the great cry of democracy, and it's tough in our country because we get less than 50%. What do we get? 40% of the people even turn out for an election, which may not be a bad thing because maybe we don't want those folks voting to begin with. But you're right. This is the biggest challenge, is educating people, and that's why I started this organization, and to warn people about what is at stake, without a doubt. I think the best thing we can do, you can do in your wonderful show with your listeners, and I think something President Trump has done very well, federalism and a return to the 10th Amendment, and say, I don't want a powerful D.C. I don't want a powerful... Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's philosophy scares me, but she only represents one district in New York City, and I don't live there. So she should have no power over what happens in Idaho or what happens to me here in Virginia, and vice versa. That's the most important thing we can hold on to, is the rights of... we are the United States of America. We're not the central government of America. So a fight for federalism is the best thing to do to protect us from the lunacy of D.C.
You know, I really, really want to have you back in the future. I hope you'll consent to coming back on. The Executive Director of Power of the Future, Daniel Turner. You're very articulate, very sharp, and I thank you for coming on my program.
Well, thank you, Sarah, very much. I hope you and your listeners are all safe, and we're happy to come back anytime.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. I appreciate it. The man's name is Daniel Turner, and I guarantee you we're going to have him back on the program in the future because he tells it like it is with the idiocy. Let's just not beat around the bush. The idiocy and the incompetency of the liberal left and the Democrats trying to destroy the greatest energy program in the world here in the United States. They are absolutely... I just don't know how you can call yourself an American. I don't know how you can call yourself concerned about society when you try to destroy it like they are. Right now, let's go to the weather. And the weather this hour is brought to you by some friends of mine. Man, they are so good. They are the professionals when it comes to accounting services. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Now, Leiden's not that old, but I'm going to kid him and say, why are you old, fogey? Anyway, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Really good people. I know most all the partners, and they are sharp with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, and they've got 2 offices to serve you at 1710 Overland in Burley. Number to call 878-7000 and 625th Street in Rupert 436-5607. Urge you to call, urge you to work with the best, the professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Typical springtime conditions for today and for the rest of the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies, slight breeze out of the east-northeast at about 15 miles an hour, gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Looking at a high of 47 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 28. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 58 with an overnight low of 30. Saturday, sunny, expecting mid-60s, still a little bit breezy, partly cloudy for Saturday night with a low of 39 by Sunday. Mostly sunny, mid-60s, 70 for Monday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Once again, I appreciate it, and working with the professionals on your taxes, that's, of course, the best of accounting services from the professionals of Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. You know, we are seeing America change so much in the last 5 weeks. Think back 5 weeks ago. Let's see, 6 weeks ago, okay? We were just getting back from Arizona, and we were making plans to go to the state basketball tournament, and all of this, and everything looked good and rosy, and then bam, we fell through the floor. We fell through the floor because of this Chinese invasion of the coronavirus that the Chinese government lied about, tried to cover up, and they held the world at bay. And now, 180 countries are suffering because of China. I make no bones about it. I said it yesterday, and I'm going to keep on saying it. There are those that live right here in this area, and they're appalled, calling me a bigot and a racist and everything else because I'm slandering. They say I'm slandering China. I am slandering China. I am glad to slander China and the so-called government of China. It's not the people. I feel so sorry for those oppressed people in China. I feel so sorry that they are being dictated to by a government that couldn't care less if they lived or died. Their government is repulsive. The Chinese government absolutely is one of the most heinous governments that's ever been on the face of the earth. And to lie and cheat and cover up over a virus that has now infected basically the world, they're despicable. And I will not back up on that, ever. But our whole world has changed. And many of our rights have been taken away, or they are trying to take them away. And I urge you out there in the audience not to bend. I urge you not to be a willow in the wind. I urge you to stand up and be very vocal about your rights, and if need be, very forceful about your rights. Because as what's happened yesterday in Michigan was very indicative of how we all need to think about being in the future. Over 10,000 pickups and cars went into Lansing, Michigan yesterday to protest this idiotic Governor Whitmer's proclamations, which were absolutely against the Constitution. And they told her in no uncertain terms, you're wrong, and we're not going to abide by this. And it may come that we may have to do the same thing right here in the Northwest. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Good program. You know, we're only one step away from each other turning the other one in. And, you know, early on, 20 years ago, when I got to know you, we talked a lot about the Bolshevik Revolution and how my family came to America because of it, and followed step by step kind of what happened and how that happened. And with this, you see how easy it is to clamp us down just over a virus. What if they, now you know why China's in the situation they are. They wanted the country and the people, and they got them. So while there's a whole bunch of little fingers sticking out from all of this, it's divide and conquer routine, and it's just real interesting to see the people and how they're all responding and reacting to this.
I maintain everything you said is absolutely correct, Gary, and I maintain that, like you, we are just one little nudge away from falling into the abyss and having our constitutional rights taken away. And once they slip away from our hands, I maintain we will never get them back.
You know, this almost sounds treasonous in a way, but there is, I don't know, 125,000 or 1 million or whatever it is people that are dead in the United States. Well, that's only one little town.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of the country isn't affected by this. More people died from the swine flu and a few other things along the way than from this time they decided to. I'm just curious how many people died this year naturally from the flu and pneumonia.
Well, right now, looking at last year's 2018 going into the winter of 19, there were 58 deaths in the state of Idaho because of the flu. 55 of those were people that were in the older age brackets of our society, and only 3 were in the younger. But the point is, there's only been 41 cases confirmed that have died from the coronavirus so far in the state of Idaho as compared to the flu, and I'm still not seeing the numbers match up. Gary, call me next week and talk more about this when I have more time. I've got to get into my last commercial and go to the news.
Well, welcome home, and give your bride my best.
I will, my friend. Thank you so much. Take care. At this time of the day, and by the way, thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. I want to say if you're hungry and starving to death, I know some great places to go. Please support these businesses. Please. I'm urging you to support them, like the AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. New hours 11 to 9, and they've got, and you know this, they've got the most delicious burgers of all types, and they've got, that famous Farmer Brown burger with fries and a shake. Knock your boots off. Fantastic. AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. How about Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley? They're open 7:30 to 9. The drive-in window is open. Please stop in and order some of the best Mexican food you've ever had in your whole put together. I mean, breakfast burrito with the scrambled eggs, bacon, and sausage, cheese, onions, tomatoes, and sauce on a tortilla shell. Baby, that's eaten at the Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Well, how about two locations of Burgers Etc.? 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. And I'll tell you what, the lobby's open for takeouts only, and the drive-in is open, as you know. I urge you to stop in, check out the great menu items and the very nice people at both locations. Great drive-in, Burgers Etc. in Rupert and Burley. Last but not least, Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Oh, my goodness sakes, they've got all the orders to go, and they're ready to serve you with the delicious buffalo burgers, the cheesy broccoli spuds, all the great cupcakes, all the menu items. You're going to love it. Check on Steve-O's app online. I'm going to say that again. Check on Steve-O's app online. Great deals for you, great eating at Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Heyburn. And those are some great places to go if you're hungry and starving to death. I got to run. CBS News next. I'll be back in 7. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. Hour number 3, and we don't mince words on this program. We're going to tell you like it is. Welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations are serving you, open and ready to say howdy to you. Very safe, clean environment, and the best in tires and service to your vehicles. Stop in and see them today. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Also, our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, our friends, and they are our friends. I mean, I never will forget when we were asked to go and tour the beautiful Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. I was absolutely shocked as how beautiful it was, how handy it was for the seniors that live there. My goodness sakes. If you're a senior, I urge you to call Matt or Kelly Wiggins and arrange for an appointment to see this beautiful facility and think about living there because, man, 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, all of this and more at Greystone Crossing. The number, 650-4979. I'll say it again, 650-4979. Greystone Crossing Senior Living, where seniors live the good life with friends. Wheels, may we please have the good word for the May 19th primaries?
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, to explain this year's voting by mail.
This year it's going to be a little different. You will be getting an absentee ballot request form in the mail. Fill it out. Send it in. Then the county clerk will send you an absentee ballot form. This is how you vote. Fill it out. Mail it in by May 19th. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to call your county clerk's office. Paid for by Bedke for Idaho.
Thank you very much. And right now, let's go to the phone line as we have Cassia County School Days. And what a complete disaster it's been for education all over the United States and right here in our state of Idaho. But I've got to hand it to the people like Debbie Critchfield and others that are absolutely with their chins up, and they're doing the very best that they can, including this gentleman. That's the Mountain View Elementary principal, Derek Johnston. Good morning, Derek. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Zeb. Long time no talk. How are you doing?
Well, it has been a long time no talk, but I'll tell you what, I remember you from the last time that you were on the show, and I think I called you the ever-ready bunny. Your batteries are always on full alert.
Hey, sleep is overrated. We do what we can.
Needless to say, education has taken a great big hit all across the board. I think start off with telling me what's happened over to Mountain View Elementary and what are you doing during this coronavirus scare?
Well, at Mountain View Elementary, I think that we're all speed ahead, and I'm really excited about some of the things that we are doing with our online and distance learning. I get to put on a headset like you, and I get to talk to my staff each and every day and talk to parents, and I've even been in chat rooms where students are participating in daily lessons with some teachers. And it's great to see how well the teachers and the students can adapt in these challenging times.
Derek, I guess an obvious question I've got is for the class members that are out now because school is closed, what about the ones that don't have access to a computer? What do you do?
Well, we've loaned out 350 Chromebooks here at Mountain View, and our district has been reaching out, and we've provided internet services to families in need because, as you know, we have families in our community that need all the help that they can get. And it's part of the job of the school to really reach out and help everyone in the community since we're a community entity.
Okay, but what about the diligence of sitting there and adhering to what's being talked about or taught? I mean, how do you know that these students are sitting there with pen in hand or pencil and pad ready to go? Tell us how this works.
So we have bins outside in front of the school where kids turn in schoolwork if they prefer paper, and we have teachers who really make calls to connect with every student. That's our goal at Mountain View, connect with every student every week. So just have those conversations, and the staff here is very empathetic to the challenges that the kids are facing. Some kids might be watching their littler siblings. Some kids have parents that work, so it's hard. But we do our best to reach out and really be understanding of their situation. And, yes, the pen to paper is challenging. And sometimes we just have to keep a tab on which kids aren't turning in work. And then I call them personally and say, hey, I care about you and I want you to keep learning. What can I do to help you? And really just be that supportive, be a supportive person in their life.
Derek, what about the sitting down and figuring out the logistics of how this is going to work? So-and-so is going to be on teaching at this time. We're going to have this person or this grade teaching. Explain how you figured out all the logistics for this.
Well, really, it's trial and error. There's no one-size-fits-all for each and every kid in our school. So one thing that we learned from feedback from parents and students is they really like videos, because if a teacher makes a recording of themselves or a video, the kid can access it at whatever time is convenient for them.
Oh, I see.
As we know, not every parent knows how to teach every single subject. I have challenges teaching every subject myself, so I think that any resources that we can give to the families and the kids is always accepted.
You said this, hold on, caller, I'll be right with you, I'll take your call, but Derek, you said this is an ongoing learning system also for the administration and the teachers. Boy, I mean, you've had to go through a lot of heck, if you will, the last couple of weeks. All of a sudden this was thrust upon you. Where are you at as far as an acceptable education for these kids? I mean, where are they at?
Well, there's some kids that are thriving under this situation because they love technology. We have to give credit to the kids nowadays. Kids can do things that I could only dream of when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
These kids, they communicate. They really love, at Mount View Elementary, they really love the staff and the teachers, and they reach out to us. Even last night we had a parade through the community because we missed all of our students, and we saw them out waving in the street, just saying hi to us. And it was a really cool experience, a really neat time, and I was very surprised with all the participation from the staff and the kids. They just want somebody who cares for them, who reaches out each and every day.
I love that.
That's why kids love school.
I love it. Hey, we've got a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air. Thank you.
Yes, I was just wondering, how is the school district going to handle high school graduation? I know that's going to be rather difficult to do, but I'll take my answer off the air.
All right, sir. Thank you. Derek, can you relate to that? What about graduation ceremonies?
Well, I know that the principals in the district are in process of working on figuring out how we're going to do graduation. I don't know what decision they have come up with yet. There's a board meeting that will be live streamed tonight at 7 p.m., and that might be something that they address tonight. But right now, I think the biggest question will be, are we going to be continuing school the way that we are currently, or is there a possibility that we'll come back? But that's a school board decision, not my decision.
Absolutely. You know, what have you personally learned with these circumstances? I mean, here you are, a principal of an elementary school, and all of a sudden all of this is just thrown at you like a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. What did you learn?
Well, I learned that really the kids and the parents are very supportive, and they're great. And really, kids in this distance environment, this challenging time, which is unprecedented, we have to make sure that we're not overworking kids. We have to make sure that the work that kids are doing is relevant and valuable, and still allow them to be individuals and allow them to do things and have choices in the work that they do.
You know, that was really well stated. Have you had a lot of problems or an incurement of problems of parents saying, we don't know what to do, we can't handle this? I mean, what do you do in that case?
We haven't had too many, because when we started this whole distance learning with a philosophy of belief that we were going to not just overload our kids and give them 7 hours of work to do each day at home. We wanted to start less equals more is what we wanted to start with. Because we wanted to make sure that we could get feedback from the parents on if the workload is too much, too little, so that we can make changes that way. So because we started with less equals more, I think that saved us a lot of the parent stress level.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. With now you in Cassia County doing this, what about other school districts? Have they developed their own model, their own way, or is everybody trying to fashion the similar type of teaching?
Most of the districts, Boise, Twin Falls, everyone right now is on a distance learning model. And Pocatello, using Google Classroom, using Seesaw, Class Dojo, and Remind Messages, and Chromebooks. Some schools have all paper packets, and they're just sending out the packets and having them returned to the school and having them sit in quarantine, if you will, for 48 hours or so, and then grading it that way. Really, for each student and each family has different needs. Some families have challenges with the internet. Some families prefer the paper, and I think that's the job of all the schools and all the principals I've talked to. They're doing their best to cater to each family.
I think you would agree with me that in every classroom, regardless of whether it's in Idaho, Florida, or Indiana, every classroom that you have students that really need that personal touch with the teacher, a kind of a little personality between the student and the teacher. How are you covering that?
Well, one thing that we're doing, I tell the teachers to connect with each student every week in a non-academic way. I know that when I was a kid, the reason why I did all the schoolwork that was provided was not because I wanted to. It was because I had an adult in the classroom who cared about me. And really, the reason why I did all of my work is because I knew that adult loved me, and he wanted me to grow up to be something special.
Wow.
And I think that that's something that we need to make sure that we provide to our students, because students go to school not just to do math or reading, history and science. They go to school because it's a place where they feel loved and they feel welcomed, and they get to be themselves, and people appreciate them for being themselves.
Absolutely. Well stated, Derek. Thank you. One final thought. After we've seen everything that you had to compile and put into motion and put in effect in a very short period of time, how much of this kind of teaching do you see a value of keeping certain percentages of it in the future?
Well, I think at the end of all of this, I think this is going to be a great learning opportunity for teachers, and I think that every teacher has become better at communication. And one thing that a lot of my teachers really enjoy is being able to make videos of lessons and really using the apps like Class Dojo and Remind to reach out like the weekly newsletter to the parents to let them know what their kids are going to be learning this week. So I think that even after this, when kids are in the classroom, I think it'll be important. Now, that's something that my teachers will probably keep doing next school year, is just weekly videos or newsletters to all the parents. So
Absolutely.
Know what's going on at school.
Absolutely. You know, you are an outstanding individual, and I'm very proud and happy to have you on my program. Mountain View Elementary Principal Derek Johnston, and I mean this, the best in the future, and God bless you, man. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you. You're awesome, Zeb. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. I mean, that man is very committed to the students. You can hear it in his voice. I mean, he is absolutely committed to education and the support of your kids. That is an educator right there. Nice man. I want to tell you, too, about some really, really good people over at Patterson's Electronics. Holy moly, they've got a store full of electronics items. I can't even begin to tell you everything they've got. Why, I certainly don't understand everything they've got, but all you people that are into all the electronics needs, you know they've got it. Yeah, absolutely. Home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, all your TVs with Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. The list goes on and on. You'd better stop in or give them a call today. Yep, I'm talking about Patterson's Electronics. Dang near choked to death. 421 East Main in Burley, and they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and the telephone number to call, 678-6997, Patterson's Electronics. Really, really good people. You know, we have been blessed on this program with a lot of great advertisers, and I'm going to check with Wheels and see if we have Jeff on the line. Is he ready?
They are still trying to find him to make sure he's in the building,
Okay. Sir. Is he in the building along with Elvis? Well, okay, good. Let me know the minute he gets there, if you would, please. I had a note, and I'm trying to find that note from my lovely bride this morning. I think I just found it in my pile of paper that Bob over at the Golden Heritage Senior Center said they're going to be doing the curbside meals, as we've been telling you about, but not in the dining room. And for those of you that want a meal from the senior center, don't forget to call the day before. So like for tomorrow, you call today and order your meal, and then go pick it up between 10:30 and 11:30. And boy, you can really help the senior center with the money you spend on these meals, and it's very, very cost effective at only $5. 878-8646. That number again, 878-8646 for the senior center, and they'll deliver your meals to you curbside. So don't forget about that. Wheels, is he there?
Yes, sir, he is.
My friend, and I mean that literally. Hello, Jeff, over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. How are you?
Well, hello, Zeb. I'm doing great, thank you. How's everything in your neighborhood?
Well, getting lonely, but that's what we're going to talk to you about. I mean, you are one of the tough guys, and I mean that. You're absolutely being proactive during a very serious time, and I want to give my compliments to you. What is going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, and how can my audience come in, shop with you, and buy from you? And I'm asking I'm urging everybody to support our businesses.
Well, let me tell you, we've got a couple of things that will be of great interest to you. One, on the furniture side first, many people have specific needs, and we can satisfy those needs. Oftentimes, people need, for example, lift chairs that have the medical assist feature. We have those available, and those are here at the store. If you call and schedule an appointment, you can come try those out. We also carry mattresses and lift beds. Many people absolutely must have those, and they are fantastic. They're not only great for your sleep, but they're great for your body. In addition to that, many people are in the process of moving, relocating. Oftentimes they need to get into an apartment. We recognize that there are some needs that are absolutely urgent. We are prepared to help with those in a very nice and organized way. If people will call me or call the store or text me, we can schedule an appointment, and you may come in and take a look at what we have to offer, and we will do our very best to satisfy those needs in a very socially conscious way. In addition to that, Zeb, we carry floor covering. Now, this is interesting because there are so many situations right now in which there are a lot of moving parts where people need to get into their homes. I've just measured for a couple of floods. Life happens, and people cannot live in a home that's been flooded or has got the septic backed up or something like that. We take care of all of these needs. People are moving from one apartment to the next, and these are very critical times where people need to be able in their home where they can quarantine, right? So we're prepared to help with that, and you can call and schedule an appointment, and we can do it in such a way as to practice social distancing and satisfy all of your needs, and do so in a very conscious, community-conscious way.
You know, where there is a will and a want, there's always a way, and I compliment you for still being able to serve the public, and I just want people to really, really write the number down and remember it. Now, I'm going to let you tell the number in case there's more than one, but share that with my audience right now, please.
Thank you. Two numbers. The store number is 208-878-2341. And this seems a little unusual, but you're welcome to call and text me. You can text me at 208-670-2864.
Okay.
Again, 670-2864. and call me or text me and schedule an appointment. You can come into the store. We're very fortunate. We have available inventory. We have floor covering in stock, so you don't have to worry about any postponement. We can take care of you. And Zeb, I just want to share with your listening audience out there, we live in a wonderful community with wonderful opportunities. No one is going to ever starve to death in Idaho. Neighbors look after one another, and when this situation passes, we'll look back on this in a short amount of time, and we'll wonder what all the hubbub was over. And we'll recognize that the sun also rises. Let's move forward and have us a great day.
Jeff, I like that, and I want to urge everybody to remember life is going on, and life will get better. And I know that many, many people have made plans to spruce up and comfortize and beautify their home going into the spring, and you're there. You're there for them.
Absolutely. And Zeb, one last thing, and you'll appreciate this. Remember, when you listen to good news, it's like drinking from a water fountain. But when you hear bad news, it's like drinking from a hose. And for all you people sitting around listening to social media, you got to pull away from the hose. You're drowned.
I tell you, I love it. I really appreciate you and your tenacity to be out there serving the public and everything. And again, folks, I stress that you need to support these businesses. They've been a long-time supporter of giving you and providing you a lot of great products. And Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Oberlin, just that kind of folks. Jeff, God bless you, man. Thanks.
Thank you, Zeb. You take care, and everybody out there, wash your hands.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
All right. That's good advice. Yeah, everybody wash your hands. Appreciate that. Jeff over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I think I want to also tell you quickly now the postcards. I got to get this in. Fred and I have been talking about this for a long time. The postcards asking you to request your ballot are being sent out. If you haven't got one, you will be. I got mine about 6-7 days ago. And what you do is easy as they say 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go over that real quick with you. And again, urge you that if you have any questions, regardless of whether you live in Cassia County, Minidoka County, Jerome County, Twin Falls County, I don't care what county, call your county clerk and they can help you. But request a ballot, and you can go by visiting idahovotes.gov or call your county clerk office, and they'll make sure that you get a ballot, okay? Once you get the ballot, we're doing all this by absentee ballot this year for the May 19th primaries. Don't forget to fill it out, send it in. Now, they would love to have all the ballots by May 19th. They know that's not going to be reasonable or feasible, so the cutoff date is June 2nd. That's when it's all over. You got to have your ballot in. So once again, take care of this right now. The May 19th primary election will be conducted by absentee ballot only this year. Okay? So take care of it. Watch in your mail. If you've got it already, request your ballot, fill it out, send it in, and you have voted. All right? Gotcha. Right now, we're going to send this back over to my itty-bitty buddy over at the main studios, Wheels, and he's going to keep it for about 3 or 4 minutes. I'll be right back.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much for staying with us all morning long right here on Zeb at the Ranch, our final half hour. We are going to be visiting right now with a man up in Ada County in Boise, I'm assuming, that absolutely has been suffering because of closures and stoppages. He's an Idaho businessman that owns 2 gyms and was about to open up a third. And we're going to be talking right now to Brett Denton with Cavell Fitness and Nutrition. Brett, good morning to you. Glad to have you on the program.
Good morning. Appreciate it.
Tell me a little bit about your business, and I hope I said the name right. Is it Cavell Fitness? Is that proper?
It is, yes. You said it perfectly.
All right.
Unusual, so. We're a group training fitness facility, right? And so we will run training sessions up to 30 people in a training session. And it's designed to allow people to get a personal training environment without spending the major fees of personal training, right? And so the way the economics works, we have to have more people in a training session to be able to provide the lower rate.
Okay, and then also the addition and addendum of Nutrition Center. I would assume that's the nutrition, food, etc., that really is for a healthy lifestyle, correct?
Yeah, true, yes. We have a nutritionist on staff, and we run nutrition challenges. We do nutrition coaching and nutrition counseling.
Brett, what happened, and how did you learn that all of a sudden your key was not going to fit in the lock for a while?
Yeah, so, one of the biggest things I think that we've seen is kind of the fear of what people do and don't know, and what they think they know and what they think they don't know. And so aside from, basically being shut down and saying, gyms are one of the number one things on the list of non-essential businesses, which I could get into a whole other conversation about essential and non-essential businesses. But, as soon as we kind of saw that coming down the pike, we had to shut the doors because training with people of 30, doesn't bode well for when they're telling us to not get together with 10 or more. And immediately we started seeing cancellations. And if they weren't canceling, then we started seeing a lot of people who were just reducing their memberships by half. And then people needing, us to help them while still providing a service. We had some of that. We're here to help. We want to help the community. We want to help everybody as much as we can. But almost overnight, our business was cut in half, and then it's slowly dwindling since then.
Now, Brett, I'm also a small businessman, and I can't even imagine you own 2 gyms, and you were considering opening up a third. I mean, your banker and you must have absolutely been tearing your hair out.
Yeah, not only we were more than thinking about it. We were in the middle of construction of our third one. So that is currently sitting there empty. And then we got to finish that project as soon as we kind of get things back and rolling again. And then we got to figure out a way to make that thing work as we're building up these other 2 facilities again.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. As a businessman, and I know for a fact what your answer is going to be, but I want you to share it with my audience. You've got people that work for you that absolutely their lives have been put into a tailspin. Do you know as an employer that when you get the green light, finally they're going to be there to work in your business again?
Yeah, that's a great question, and no, I don't. So we were forced to, we paid people for as long as we could and as long as it made sense, as long as they were doing work. And I saw this looking like it was going to last longer than, they originally said. And so I said, hey, here's the thing. You need to go out and get a job. And so one of our guys went out and got a job, and so whether he comes back or not to be determined. One of our other people had to go help their sister, who's a nurse down in California, and she doesn't know when she'll be able to be back. And then if she ends up joining back up with us or not, I don't know. Right? And then the other ones we've been able to keep on at some level. But yeah, it's tough. And not only that, but we did lose one guy entirely.
When I sit here and I listen to you, and I just wish the general public across the nation would understand that it's easy to say, well, we're going to close your business down, everybody's going to stay at home, and then when the president and or the governors of various states say it's okay to go back to work, all is going to be well. It's going to be Alice in Wonderland. It's not the truth. Nothing is going to start up the way it used to be.
No, and especially in the fitness industry. So here's the thing about the fitness industry and how it works. So it's really hard to get people to start working out in the first place. And so once you get people to start working out, as long as you keep it consistent and they keep showing up, they'll keep showing up, and they'll keep showing up. What happens as soon as you put a halt into that and you stop the habit and you stop what they're doing on a daily basis, it's really hard to get them back in again. So our business not only was cut in half, but now it's going to be a major rebuilding phase. Like in fitness, I don't know anything about any other industry, but in fitness, it is not going to bounce back immediately because that is not human nature.
Let me ask you this. Were there ways, or are there ways, that you as a fitness club owner could have possibly got around the pandemic and everybody wore a mask or social distancing? Were there ways that you could have possibly stayed open?
Yeah, I think here's where you run into a little bit of the politics or people's emotions and feelings. Right? So with all the kind of fear-mongering out there, people are afraid. Nobody wants to get sick. Nobody wants to die. I don't want anybody to die under my watch. I don't want anybody to get sick under my watch. And so it came to making the decision of how many clients are going to leave us because we stay open, right, because they're scared or they don't believe what we're doing or whatever it is, right, because of all of this coming down from the government or the White House or wherever it's coming from about people being scared. Number two, I mean, it's a fitness facility. People are breathing hard, right? So when you're talking about 6 feet away, well, it's probably further when you're breathing hard in a fitness facility. So to be point blank and answer your question, is there a way I could get around it? Yeah, probably. How much would that have hurt my business in the long run? Probably more than I wanted to tempt.
You know, Brett, when I sit and listened yesterday to Governor Little, and I watched and listened to the entirety of his press conference and basically say another 2 weeks, April 30th, but there wasn't any finality to April 30th. In other words, what I'm trying to say is, well, we're going to keep things closed till April 30th, but there wasn't any crystal ball for beyond. This thing could go on and on and on. There's got to be some finality, or all our businesses are going to go under.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem, is the unknown, right? I mean, I think that's the problem that we're dealing with. If there was something that I knew, I would stop paying my leases and go find something else to do, right? But I don't know that. So if this thing keeps going, or worst case scenario, I think, for us is they let us open back up with, like, groups of 9 or something, which economically that doesn't actually work for us because we're still paying full-time staff to run sessions that are less than half. Right, and so then they do that for a few weeks, and they say, oh, no, we have another outbreak, and we've got to shut down again. And if we do this back and forth for a long time, people get really tired of that.
Yeah. You know, I shouldn't ask you this on the air, and I'm certainly not trying to embarrass you, but how long can you hold out before that rope is jerked out of your hand?
Well, that's a fair question, and, you know, there was, they did a report that they gave to the White House saying that all small businesses could make it 12 months paying full salaries, paying all their expenses. And I don't know what kind of data they pulled for that, but it was not right. We need to make it 2 to 3 months max, you know, until we kind of have to start looking for other things to do.
I totally agree with that. I'm on your page because 2 to 3 months is about all I can go. And I want you to talk a little bit, if you would. I personally, as a small business owner, have been absolutely sickened and outraged with the filling out the various information sheets to apply for a possible grant or something like that. And then 2 days later they change it, or that afternoon they revoke it and say that it's got to be updated. What are your chances of getting a grant or a small business loan during this crisis?
Yeah, you know, I'm in the same boat as you. I've been working on that for a while. Now, the PPP, you know, supposedly I've gotten approved for that. I haven't seen any funding yet, but I did have to fill out 3 different applications for that, so it wasn't like a one-shot deal. And then as far as, like, the disaster relief, I filled that out 3 weeks ago, and I have heard nothing. You know, I checked the $10,000 box. I've heard nothing. I'm talking with my banker today about some other options, but I have seen no money yet. So, you know, I don't know if that's coming or not.
You know, and doesn't it seem to you, and I want my listeners to pay close attention to this that are small business owners, doesn't it seem to you like you're on an island and the sharks are swimming all around you and nobody's really giving you any definitive answers?
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. Again, a lot of maybe half-truths and people not really knowing what they're doing and no finality in anything. I mean, again, if people just said, hey, we're going to be shut for the next 12 months, then great, I'll run with that, right, and then I'll make it work. But with it being so, like, all over the place and not really knowing what's going to happen, that's the issue. And again, yeah, we're slowly drowning, waiting for those sharks to eat us up.
You know, I have nothing but empathy and sympathy for your situation because you're like so many people right now. You sound like you're a young man that absolutely wants to be an entrepreneur and create more of your businesses in other locations. And right now it's like you hit a retaining wall at 80 miles an hour.
Yep, that's pretty much what it feels like.
Well, I want to tell you how much we care about you coming on the program, and I just hope and pray everything opens up. What would have happened, this is kind of a supposition, but what would have happened if you and other businesses would have defied the order and kept open anyway?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm not sure. Again, I didn't risk our reputation to make that happen, but I think if more people would have done that, you know, if more people would have done that, they maybe would have looked at it a little bit more seriously and said, hey, maybe there's something here. Maybe businesses can't just shut down at the stop of a dime. But I don't know. I don't know how that would have turned out.
What do you think, Brett? Last question I'm going to throw at you this morning, but after what happened yesterday back in Lansing, Michigan, where over 10,000 vehicles went down the road right to the governor's office, letting her know that she had made some bad decisions. What do you think about that kind of a revolution with the citizens to let these people in politics know they're starving and they need to get things changed?
Well, I think that is what needs to happen, and I think that America has lost a little bit of that. I think that we need to speak up for ourselves. I think we need to not always look for just a handout, but instead make things happen.
Absolutely. When you hear the move account on my program, it means I have a caller. And caller, go ahead. Brett and Zeb are on the line. Go ahead, please.
Well, both of you, tomorrow at the State House at 2 o'clock, there's going to be a protest on the steps. And I don't know that if they're going to be able to keep us 6 feet apart, not that we want to try to be disrespectful or break the rule, but it's going to be interesting because the mayor of Boise she fancies herself as the mayor of Seattle or Portland, and if you get my drift.
Absolutely.
So, you know what? We weren't allowed to be responsible citizens yesterday. We were told what to do again. Around this valley, I've lived here all my life, and it's been Mini-Cassia for 22 years, and I don't know hardly any irresponsible citizens. And so, we could have taken it upon ourselves to do what we thought was right, and we're consenting adults, aren't we? And we don't need Brad Little telling us what to do. I'll hang up.
Brett, respond to the caller if you would, please.
Yeah, sorry about that. I got dropped there for a second, so you just rehash. I missed
well, basically, what the caller said, and I'm sorry that you had cut off there, but basically what the caller said is that your mayor is acting somewhat like some of the other liberal mayors and governors across the country in a, I don't care what your rights are, you're going to do it my way or the highway. Do you get that feeling from your mayor up there in Boise?
Yeah, and frankly, I'm not one to point the blame at anybody because these guys are making decisions for a state or for a country, and they're just making the best educated guess they can from the resources they have. But with that being said, yeah, I believe that, listening to the constituents is first and foremost what should be happening, and I'm not sure that's happening.
Let me throw these numbers at you and see what your thoughts are. The coronavirus, supposedly as of this morning when I went on the air, has taken the lives of 41 people, and that's sadness. That's absolute sadness. However, in the last flu season of 2018 going into the spring of 19, there were 58 people that died from the flu, and 55 of those were all over the age of 50. So I guess my point that I'm making with you is the coronavirus right now at 41 versus the flu, it doesn't seem like the numbers are matching up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. From everything that I've seen, and again, I'm not an epidemiologist, and so I don't really know the science behind it, but it appears that thus far it hasn't been causing the damage that was expected. I think Fauci the other day said instead of 100,000, 250,000, we're likely to see more like 60,000 deaths.
Right. I want to wish you, and I mean this, I've never met you other than talking to you on the phone, but you were referred to me by one of my dear friends, Rick Manning, back east. I want to wish you the very best, Brett. I hope all goes well. I hope your businesses flourish. Thank you so much for coming on our program.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot for having me.
All right. The man that owns Cavell Fitness and Nutrition up in Boise, 2 locations, and was considering very shortly opening up a third, Brett Denton, and I appreciate him being on the program here this morning. Right now, I want to also tell you about Edith's Cafe. You know what? They have done so much to serve people during this crisis for the last 6 weeks. As a matter of fact, they've got a location set up over at 2500 Washington Street in Burley, where right across from Fabri-Kal, so they can help feed all the truck drivers that are going up and down that truck route. Really good people. And, they've got the curbside service absolutely at their location over at 140 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Excellent food. Underline the word excellent, with excellent service and people. Please, I'm urging everybody to make sure that you do business with the businesses that are still open. Please help them, and I'm talking about Edith's Cafe. Right across from the golf course, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Edith's Cafe. Call them, 878-2248. Right now it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Caller, stay on the line. Do not go. Do not hang up. I'll be right with you. I got to get this on Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. 324-7657. Or you can go to their website. Check out all the delicious, great-tasting meats at scarrowsmeats.com. Absolutely phenomenal. We'll tell you more right after Gina gives us the weather.
Typical springtime conditions for today and for the rest of the week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies, slight breeze out of the east-northeast at about 15 miles an hour, gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Looking at a high of 47 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 28. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 58 with an overnight low of 30. Saturday, sunny, expecting mid-60s, still a little bit breezy, partly cloudy for Saturday night with a low of 39. By Sunday, mostly sunny, mid-60s, 70 for Monday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth Rain.
Thank you, Gina. You do a great job. We appreciate you. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I wanted to give you a little stat here about the World Health Organization and how frugal and practical they are, and how much they care so much about the health of the world, people. And, they're not there to do anything but be, your non-profit people who just take care of everything. You know what they spent last year on travel?
I'm going to hazard a guess.
Go ahead.
I'm going to hazard a guess because I think I'm within the ballpark. I think with their exorbitant lifestyles and everything else, I would say that it was up into the multi-millions.
Okay, now get a load of this. This is travel for the World Health Organization last year. And this, I guess, travel, but did this include them staying in five-star resorts wherever they went? I don't even know if that's the case. This could have just been air travel. $200 million.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. People are suffering, people are dying, and situations are such around the globe where so much of that money could have been put to better use for better diagnostic and scientific testing. And then we hear about people carrying their alligator briefcases and wearing the special Armani suits and everything, and people are suffering while they're living high on the hog and couldn't care less.
Yeah, they wouldn't stay in anything less than whatever they could get was the highest at wherever they went. They never really cared to go into any places where we're off the beaten path. They are the most, the ruling elite of this world and the ruling elite of this country that live behind the scenes, or the ones that are puppet masters running these puppets. They don't care about you and I. They don't care whether or not America has an economy. They don't care whether or not your children and my children are able to pay the bills, put food on the plate. They don't care. And see, people wonder why I'm such a crazy man. I'd just soon be retired on some lake somewhere and not have to worry.
Yeah, but wait a minute. You say you want to... Wait a minute, let me interject something. If you lived in Michigan with Governor Whitmer, you could retire on the lake, but all you could do is be in your kayak, and that's not very safe.
Yeah, she wouldn't let me run my boat out across there because I would be, pollution.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a sick situation. And again, we good people have to fight back because it's our responsibility to do so, and I don't know how soon Christ is coming.
Let me ask you a real quick question, Randy. We didn't get a chance to ask you this earlier this morning. I took some heat from some people that said I was condemning the World Health Organization and absolutely applauding Donald Trump for cutting the money to the WHO organization. I did. I said it 3 times yesterday, and I said it again this morning, that I applaud him for pulling the strings on the money to the World Health Organization, because in my opinion, tell me if I'm wrong, you're not going to correct anything by still feeding the source money. You've got to get their attention and tell them to shape up or else.
Let me tell you something. These people don't care. They have no moral compass. They do not have ethics. All they care about is the fact that they got caught.
Yeah.
And their lifestyles are so depraved in most cases. In other words, what these two people do in their private lives is something that we can't talk about, and I guarantee you a majority of them are probably as depraved as you can even, well, maybe you can imagine.
Yeah. I do appreciate your call. I do appreciate all your remarks. Thank you, Randy. God bless you, and have a better weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's going to be nice. Sun's out. You know, I'm going to go out and maybe ride my hog down the road. I'm going to honk when I go past your house.
You better not just honk. You better turn in for a minute.
Well, I'll stay 6 feet away.
Okay, Randy, thank you much. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to get something else in here this morning, and maybe you folks out in Radio Land didn't notice it yet. You haven't seen the ad, but one of the absolutely, and I mean this, one of the most low-class, no-class ads for Joe Biden for president is being run right now. And what they're stating on these ads is that if he were president, the world would have been so much better off with the coronavirus. You know, everything they made in that advertisement for Joe Biden, how dare they? I mean, here is President Trump thrust in the middle of this coronavirus absolutely mess, world mess. And now they can look back in hindsight, anybody, whether it's Biden or Warren or whoever it might have been, and Biden can say, well, I would have done this better, I could have done that better, I would have had this done, I would have had these testing sites set up. All of that hindsight. How low and sleazy can politics go? You know, all the more reason why Joe Biden, in my opinion, is absolutely nothing more than a snake oil salesman and never deserves to see the Oval Office unless he buys a tour ticket. That's it. It just frustrated me. How dare somebody use hindsight and say, well, I could have done that better, I could have done that better. No. I think he absolutely should lose the election just because of these sleazy, low-class advertising. I feel better. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for this week. And my itty-bitty buddy over there at the station is going to carry the ball up to CBS News in just a few minutes. I said at the beginning of this program, and I'm going to say it again, that life is a risk. From the birth until God calls us home, to live in a supposed safety bubble is not living. We all need to tighten our cinches and go back to living our lives. And with that I say, the way things were are the way things ought to be. In God we trust. As a matter of fact, read Psalms 91. You'll see what I mean. Until Monday at 8:06, God bless. Zeb at the Ranch. Wheels, take it away.